In this video, I will show you all the features of MxMeter, which is A3J Group's mobile solution for managing meters in Maximo. When you launch MxMeter on your mobile device, you will be routed to the login page. On this page, you will enter your Maximo URL, username, and password, and click on the login button to log in. Once you successfully log in, MxMeter will load all the assets with active meters on them. At the top of the screen, you will see a Search Assets field. This is a field where you can actually search for an asset by asset number or even by the name of the asset. So if you click in there and you type in the asset number, it'll pull in any record that has that number on it. So in this case, there's only one record that we have with 11470 on it. Or you can search by asset name. And once again, it'll search for any record that has the word overhead in it. Another way you can search for an asset is actually by scanning a barcode or a QR code. To do that, at the top right, you'll see a barcode icon. You just click on that, which will launch the camera on your mobile device. And then from there, you can just scan the barcode or QR code. And it'll search for the asset from that barcode. Another way you can narrow your search in MxMeter is using Maximo routes. So you simply just have to configure a route in Maximo, and it'll be shown in MxMeter. To get to the routes, just click on the menu at the top left. Click on routes. It'll display all your available routes. We'll choose pump for this example. These are all the assets that are included in the pump route. To clear the route, just click on the X next to the route name. It'll take you back to the home screen. And you'll notice that there's 3 buttons below the Search Assets field. Those are sort attributes, where if you click on each one, you can actually sort by that type. So in this case, if you click on asset, you'll sort by asset number. Click on description, sort by description name. And for serial number, if you click on that, you'll sort by serial number. To view the meter details of each asset, just simply touch the asset that you want to see. You'll see information about the asset followed by a list of meters. If you scroll down, you'll see all the meters available on that asset. Each meter is represented by a card. So in that card, you'll have basic information like the meter name, the meter type, last reading date, etc. On the bottom of each card, you'll see 3 action buttons. The very first button is to create a new meter reading. The second one is to view historical readings. And then the third one is to view a chart of those historical readings. So for this example, we'll enter a new reading for the outlet pressure. So to do that, you just click on the very first icon on that card, which will launch the Create Reading screen. You'll see basic information at the top for that asset. To enter a new reading, you just click on the New Reading field. Type in the new reading and click on Create Meter Reading, which will take you to the next meter for that asset. So this next meter is a characteristic type meter. So if you were to click on the new reading field, it'll launch a drop down with available values for you to choose from. So for this example, let's change the color to light brown. If you have any remarks, you can actually enter them here. And click the meter readings, click on Create Meter Reading. Once that meter reading successfully goes through, it'll push you onto the next meter. So there's a couple of different places you can view the historical readings of each meter. So while you're on the meter itself, you can actually click on that View button at the top. It'll display all the historical readings for that meter. You can scroll through them. If you click on the Trend button at the top right, you'll get to see the chart for all those historical readings. You can view them by week, month, year, and life. Another place where you can see these readings is if you go back to the asset details that displays all the meters. And those 3 action buttons at the bottom, if you click on the middle one, it'll take you back to that historical readings view. Another way to view the chart for historical readings is if you go back to the asset details, and for the action buttons on the bottom of the card, you just click on the very far right one. It'll take you right to the chart for all those historical readings. If you're inside of a meter and you want to go to the next meter, at the top right, you'll see 2 left and right buttons. You can click on each of those to go to a next or a previous meter. So right will go to the next meter, the left one will go to the previous meter. Or you can actually swipe on the screen. So if you want to go to the next meter, you can actually swipe left on your screen, which will take you to the next meter. Or if you swipe right on your screen, it'll take you back to the previous meter. The same feature works on the asset details. So if you go back to the asset details, you can actually swipe left to go to the next meter, or you can click the buttons at the top right. So if you want to go left, you'll go back to the previous meters. If you use Maximo service addresses with XY coordinates in Maximo, you can actually locate your assets or even locations using Google Maps and MxMeter. So if you go back to the home page, click on the menu at the top left and click on Map. The map will actually center by default on your current location, and then it'll actually drop pins on the map where the service addresses for those assets or locations are. So if you click on the pin, it'll display the asset that's available, and you click on the asset, it'll take you to the detail of that asset. MxMeter does have offline capabilities, such as being able to create a meter reading while offline. So if we go offline here manually, and go ahead and select a asset, well, let's select the same one as last time. And let's go to outlet pressure again. And let's create a new meter reading while we're offline. So what's going to happen is actually that reading that we sent is now going to be considered a pending transaction, which will be displayed up here. So the next time you come online, this transaction will be processed into Maximo. So let's go ahead and go back online. And you can either process the transaction here, or if you go back to the home screen, it'll process automatically. So since we're on the screen, let's go ahead and process it. All right, so that transaction has been processed and sent back to Maximo. You also have the option of deleting a pending transaction. So let's see, you go back offline. Let's go to that same pump that we were on. Go to outlet pressure, let's give it a new reading. Let's go back to the pending transaction screen. If you swipe right on that transaction, you can actually delete it by clicking on the delete button. So that way you're not sending it to Maximo. And then to reconnect back onto the network, click on the menu at the top left and click on reconnect under more actions. So MxMeter has a handful of settings available that control the behavior of the application. So to get to the settings, click on the menu at the top left, click on settings, and here's a list of settings that you can either turn on or off to control the behavior. So for example, if you were to turn off the very first one, which is where assets are true and locations are false, and click on update settings, you'll now just be able to view the locations and not the assets. Click on the location, you'll see the meter for that location itself. And then if you want to go back to the settings, just click on the back button, click on the navigation menu at the top left, and click on settings. You can actually turn that back on. If you don't want to move to the next meter, whenever you create a meter reading, you can actually turn that off by clicking off on that second option. So let's click off here. Let's click on update settings, go to an asset. Well, let's go to outlet pressure meter. Well, let's put in a new meter reading here. And you'll notice that it took you back to the details of the asset and not to the next meter. So let's go and look at some more of the settings. You click on home and let's go to settings. All right, so we'll turn that one back on. And then the third one is auto filter for routes. So by default, when you log into MxMeter, it takes you right to the home screen where you see all of your assets. If you were to turn auto filter for routes on, it'll actually take you to the routes page when you log in the next time. So turned it on, updated the settings. Let's log out. And now when we log in, it'll route us right to the routes page. And these are all the available routes. All right, so let's go back to the settings. We'll look at the remaining settings options. And we're going to toggle off auto filters for routes. The next option is hours since last reading. By default, it's 24, which means if we go back to, let's go back to an asset and I'll show you. You'll see a green line under that meter reading that we updated for actually both of these. That means that meter has been updated in the last 24 hours, but you can actually change that. So let's go back to the settings. And let's say you just want to turn that off completely. You can actually change that 24 to 0. Click on Update Settings. Go back to the asset, and you'll notice that green line under those two cards are now gone. And if you go to Settings, you can change that, from 24 to maybe 12 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is that you want it to be. And another feature that MxMeter has is the availability to view saved queries that you have in Maximo. So from the home screen, if you click on the menu at the top left, click on Save Queries, it'll display the list of queries available. The numbers next to each query represents the number of records in each of those queries. So for example, if you click on Public Assets, there should be 4 records that display when you click on it. So you'll see that there's only 4 assets available in that query. To clear the query, you simply click on that X next to the query name at the top left, which will take you back to the home page and display all of your assets. Thank you for watching this video on A3J Group's Maximo solution, MxMeter, from the MX Mobile suite of apps. For more information, you can go to our website at a3jgroup.com or connect with us on LinkedIn or Twitter. For inquiries, please email info@a3jgroup.com or give us a call at 877-235-4774.